good for nothings because you're just a waste of flesh. And
you are a very, very, very dangerous person because you are a violent person. Your heart is full of violence and darkness. I see that. And everybody, and I hope this goes viral, and I hope everybody sees it. I've already told my story about being homeless when I was 18 years old in the 80s in New York City by myself. I guess that the suffering that you have dealt with in your life, instead of taking that suffering and trying to make things better for others, you just hold on to it and make everybody else suffer. I am so tired of you white people. I am so tired of you. I'm tired of myself. Thinking you have all these conveniences and all these things. Maybe you don't have much, maybe you do. I don't know your life. I really don't care, to be honest with you. With that kind of heart that you have. You're a dangerous person. You're a violent person. You are cheering over people starving. How dare you? Clearly, you've never dealt with that. Or if you have, you've hardened your heart to the suffering that you see around you, especially if they don't look like you. And the thing is that, and I hope you go viral, the thing is that there's no way that you can be shamed. You're going to get all these stitches and people saying how they feel and yelling at you, and it will never change you. You will not change. It's very obvious. But from now on, your life is cursed. It is cursed because people will remember your words and they will be held against you. Maybe not in a court of law, but in the court of public opinion. And I am so here for it. I'm so tired of you. I'm tired of people like you. I'm tired of being going through my life and dealing with people like you that I've had to deal with, that have no heart, no empathy, no care, no compassion, no understanding. I am so done with the way we live our lives in this society. I'm so done with people like you having any kind of power. So done. This is the time for anybody else watching this, because I know that most likely you're coming to this in a complete outrage, like me. I want you to take this time and remember that this is the time, this is a great time to awaken to the idea of empathy. And on those of you who may be friends with this awful human being, you know better, and she's probably saying all these horrific things. And some of you might hold her to account, and some of you just, I don't know, for whatever reason, just go along to get along. Don't do that anymore. Don't be a bystander. Say something to her. Make her feel it.
hey everyone, this is to all the welfare queens and that think they're queens. But yeah, this is how we stop the welfare abuse, because the good people of the United States are sick of it. They're sick of you freeloaders, good for nothings, because you're just a waste of flesh and you're just parasites. I don't even want to compare you to animals because you're worse than that. Animals have a function. Animals are beautiful. You people are just virus, parasitic creatures that should have probably never been born. Anyways, the way I would solve the problem of all you fraudulent little idiots, low IQ, waste of breath, is mandatory drug testing randomly. If you're caught on drugs, you get nothing. No smoking. Nothing that is a luxury or anything that you can live without. You will live in barracks, just like the military. If it's good enough for the military, it's damn well good enough for you. You will get fed what you're given, and you will have no choice in the matter. And it will be all healthy items. No chips, no soda. That way we can cut back on all your, medical bills and everything like that for all you obese, just whales. Whales, land whales. That's what you are. And, it would be mandatory birth control also. No children. No children while you are on the system. If you can't feed them, you're not going to breed them. And you're so lucky I am not in charge of this, because it would be like the military. And mandatory community service. You would wait on everybody else hand and foot. Whatever needs to be done in the community. That is, a direct function of society. You're going to be of some use. And then that way, poverty will be a thing of the past, pretty much. I mean, there'll still be some people in poverty, but they're going to be the hardworking people that just fall on hard times or whatever. But it isn't going to be this generational, just sponging off of everybody else that's working and that have worked and are, good for society, unlike you. So yeah, you're just parasites. And I think parasites might even be better than what you are. Because the way you're going on and on and on about how you're going to rob people, you're going to kill people, you're going to, cannibalize white crackers. And if I could say the words that I want to say on these platforms, I would. But then I'll get banned and then I can't voice my opinion. But you people need to get a life. You need to get an IQ, which will never happen. And it's been generational. And the more you breed and breed, the less IQ you have. Because it's just bad IQ, breeding with bad IQ. And it just gets worse and worse as it goes on. So, yeah. You would not like the system that I have in mind. Not at all. So, everybody that's a decent person on the system, more power to you, really. And I feel for you. But most of you, you don't need it. And I know this for a fact because I have family members and neighbors that are on the system and they do not need it at all. They're just leeches. Just pure leeches. So get a life, people. Get your shit under control. And stop feeding off of the rest of us. And our hard work. And our dollars that we put into the system that you never put into the system. So go get a life. Bye-bye.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you're faring well where you are. And if you ain't faring well, please fare well where you are. Now, there's a Canadian proverb that says, a handful of patience is worth more than a bushel of brains, right? So patience is a virtue. It is a virtue that so many of us lack, right? So a handful of patience is way better than bushels of brains. In America today, black suffering has become a constant echo beneath the nation's loud claims of freedom. It is a pain passed through generation to generation, stitched deep into the social fabric. Sometimes visible, often not. Every now and then, a moment catches the nations off guard, like that in this video that we are going to discuss right now. White people are coming up front and they're apologizing to whites. I've done a number of these kind of videos before, and this is not the very first, right? So, these people are standing before a group of black people, and they are saying things. They said some things which were careless, some words which were soaked in white privilege, you understand? And within seconds, as the silence thickens and the realization hits hard, so seconds might mean a lot of time. I'm using literary words. Do not take them literally. Take them literary or figuratively, right? So these white people have come up front and now they're regretting their words. It's not just embarrassment, they feel. It's fear, it's shame, and the sudden recognition that their words cause heavy and painful economic, emotional situations to our black people. They cause a deep, painful emotional shift to our black brothers and sisters, right? So I want us to dive into this video, listen to these white people, specifically give their confessions, because it's therapeutic, it's healing, it's aesthetic to listen to their apologies. So without further ado, let's dive in. I shall give you my thoughts by the end of the video, of course, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. Let's dive in.
Hey everyone, this is to all the welfare queens.
Well, a friend alerted me to this specimen tonight, and I'm deeply troubled by what this person would say. And the facts are simple. 70% of welfare recipients, or SNAP recipients, are children, the disabled, the elderly. Of the people that are not, 86% of them work. They can't find a job that will get them out of above the 140th percent, don't quote me on that, poverty level. So they get food from us. And it costs me like $16 a year to pay for their food out of my pocket. And what truly bothers me is that pieces of people like this lady think they are better than children, than the elderly. And they go on this tirade. And what's worse is this thing probably thinks she's a Christian. Yet she's never read the Bible. And she spits in Jesus' face by saying things like this. The problem here is that people like her exist. They preach their hate, their filth, their misinformation. And they feel like they're better than children, that she's happily starving. Children, our grandparents, are disabled, and she's happy. She wants them to work because they get like $180 a month. And people like her are glad to destroy the American dream. They're glad to embrace the corruption that is prevalent in our society at this point. This is what is wrong with America. She would rather consume misinformation and project her hatred on her fellow Americans in order to pacify the oligarchy that has gripped our country by the throat. This is why we need to fight back. This is why we need to resist. And she is exemplary of what we need to resist against. This has to stop. We have to save our country.
Good for nothings, because you're just a waste of flesh, and you're just parasites.
You need to watch that whole video because it is far worse than what you just witnessed. And if you follow me, you know what comes next. I did a little digging, but because I like to be 100% sure that I found the right person, I simply asked her. And she was kind enough to confirm making this video. As you can see down here below, Susan seems to think she's being doxxed. So she's trying to rally the troops. Help me get her back. Susan, sweetie, I'm going to need you to look up the definition of doxing. Doxing would entail me releasing your personal information, such as your phone number, your address, your neighbors' names, all of your family members' names, the picture of your house, all of which I have in my possession. And if I were to release any of that information, that, my dear, would be doxing. But public information, that is a horse of a completely different color. Hello, Susan Wendelkin. Now, I noticed on your LinkedIn, it says you're a dental office manager for a Dr. Anderson. And from your many, many aliases, I was able to determine that you're married to someone with the last name of Anderson. Why would one person need so many aliases, Susan? We'll get into that later if I need to. See, by you working in a dental office, that concerned me greatly. Because if you're online spewing this kind of hateful venom, how are you treating the patient? And judging by the reviews, there seems to be one common denominator. And well, that's you, Susan. They've all come to the conclusion that you are rude and disrespectful. Judging by the behavior that you're exhibiting online, I'm going to have to agree with them, Susan. But what concerns me even more is the fact that that dentist accepts Medicaid and Medicare. And as everyone knows, most people that get Medicaid and Medicare are also on welfare. So it concerns me greatly, Susan. How are you treating those people when you find out that they're receiving Medicaid and Medicare? So I think we should find out. Now, I also found emails linking you to Globetrotter Property. Because it's Saturday, I can't find out just yet how you're affiliated with them. So alas, this will have to be continued Monday. And of course, everyone that follows me, you know I keep a couple aces up my sleeve. You don't just put it all on the table at once.
And you're just parasites. I don't even want to compare you to animals because you're worse.
Do you know what some fucked up shit is? Is Tartar Sauce Tammy over here is mad because at maybe one point in time she got SNAP benefits and she doesn't get them anymore. The fact that other people, especially minority groups that are seeking help, she's pissed as fuck. And then she wants to talk about people who do not receive, let me say it again, do not receive SNAP benefits, Tartar Sauce Tammy, and claims that they do with no support to back her claim. Because you know Trump supporters, they're always in their fucking feelings. Because Cottage Cheese Kathy can't help the fact that people of color also benefit. And we know she was attacking the black community especially. But what she failed to realize is this right here was not directed towards black people, because I went to that page and that is a black person talking about you. You, bleach demon. You do know that you are an accident. Bing, God made. That you're only 8,000 years old and you are dying. You are a fucking dying race. Because God came back for just a moment and said, oh, my fucked up shit's here. I'll let the children deal with the children. Bitch, come get your daughter. Because we're sick and tired of telling you white supremacists that you are fucking dumb. We're sick and tired of telling you, you white supremacists over here, that you are an uneducated fool. This symbol indicates you are related to monkeys, chimpanzees, and apes, not us. We're almost 300,000 years old, and your bitch asses have been related to these things forever. So Sour Cream Cassie, I really need you to get your shit together and do some more research and not me search. And leave black, brown, and indigenous people alone. And if somebody from another country comes here and wants to get state benefits, give them the fucking benefits. Because we know you're not a Christian. You will never be and never will. And trust me, honey, when you go meet the maker, your sky daddy, I just want to remind you that you will never see the light of heaven. Amen. But you will see the depths of hell. Enjoy the fucking ride while it's here. Because there is no amount of sorries for you opening your mouth, because God said that's a loose tongue. Will you ever get our forgiveness? So not only take your wreath of a family, because you don't have a fucking tree, but your lice-ridden self, and find a cliff and jump off it. Because at some point, your demise is coming closer every day.
Hey everyone, this is to all the welfare queens and that think they're queens. But yeah, this is how we stop the welfare abuse.
What do you mean by good people? Looks like someone didn't learn their lesson from the Toast Ladies saga.
Because the good people of the United States are sick of it. They're sick of you freeloaders, good for nothings, because you're just a waste of flesh. And you're just parasites. I don't even want to compare you to animals, because you're worse than that.
This is getting dangerously close to dehumanizing racist rhetoric.
Animals have a function. Animals are beautiful. You people are
Notice the use of you people.
just virus, parasitic creatures that should have probably never been born. Anyways, the way I would solve the problem of all you fraudulent little idiots, low IQ, waste of breath,
Sounds like someone's projecting.
is mandatory drug testing randomly. If you're caught on drugs, you get nothing.
And judging by the size of your pupils, you should be first up. Stop trying to rationalize letting people starve. It's not okay. And you're a bitch. Oh yeah, and from the sounds of it, extremely racist. I'm glad you think so, but you should go talk to Shelby. She will confirm for you that I am in fact a pain in the ass for racist white bitches. And not only do I think you're racist and kind of a cunt because you're willing to let people starve, but I guarantee you this shit right here never fucking happened. So you're lying to spread racist tropes.
But, yeah, this is how we stop the welfare abuse.
Welfare abuse, really? Because I have a video of 40 white people that were arrested in a welfare fraud scheme. So I don't really know. I know you're talking to black people, so I just want to put that out there. And secondly, if we're working on stereotypes, how are we going to stop you from fucking your brother and having your father's children and letting your husband marry your daughter? See, stereotypes aren't nice and they aren't sweet. Now, you want to run around talking about welfare queens. Are you one? I'd like you to go outside and find one and save this little nonsense to her. But yeah, incestuous hillbilly, two can play that game.
Good for nothings, because you're just a waste of.
You ever notice how the same people who benefited from public assistance are the same ones who act like welfare is some sort of moral failure? Yeah, let's talk about the presidents who cashed in and then closed the door behind them. Ronald Reagan, he literally made a boogeyman out of the welfare queen. And we all know who that caricature was supposed to represent: black single mothers. But did you know that Reagan's own family benefited from the New Deal food relief programs? The ones that they had during the Great Depression. Yep, government food aid kept them afloat. But when he got into power, he slashed food stamps, gutted social programs, and pushed the racist myth that black people were the ones that were freeloading rich. Bill Clinton. Clinton's family struggled. His stepfather was his household was unstable. They relied on federal loans and local support to get by. And once Bill made it into office, he signed the 1996 Welfare Reform Bill. You know the one that decimated the support for millions of families, mostly black and brown, of course. We're the target. We're always the target. He claimed that it would end dependency. All it really did was make survival harder for working class women and children. Dwight Eisenhower, he grew up poor. His family lived on land grants and public resources. His schooling, his military career, even the GI Bill helped him rise. But in office, he warned against expanding social programs. He often stalled on civil rights protections that would have granted black veterans the same rights to the GI Bill that he had access to. Donald Trump. Let's be real, Trump was propped up by taxpayer money in more ways than one. His family's fortune, inflated by government housing contracts and FHA subsidies that his father exploited. And now, he's been anti-welfare, anti-SNAP, anti-anything that supports the poor, while racking up millions in government payouts for his businesses. Even George W. Bush. The Bush family empire was built off of oil subsidies, tax loopholes, and government connections. But his administration pushed work requirements for welfare recipients and reduced access to housing assistance, all while his cronies cashed checks off of FEMA contracts. and post-war Reconstruction scams. So the real welfare kings, they wear suits, they pass budgets, they sign bills. And when it's their families, their farms, their companies, it's called a subsidy. But when it's your grandmother trying to get groceries, all of a sudden it's a national crisis. Welfare isn't the problem, the double standard is. And the Oval Office, it's had a front row seat to the hypocrisy for generations.
So I posted about white folks on food stamps, and one thing I kept seeing was that welfare was created for white people. I knew that it was created during the New Deal, so I did some more research because I didn't really know the whole story, and I thank you guys for responding and helping me learn stuff. So during the Great Depression is when we saw the beginning of things like Social Security, unemployment insurance. But here's the kicker. When Franklin Roosevelt built those programs, he had to make deals with Southern Democrats in Congress, the same folks who were big fans of Jim Crow, to get the support of these racist white Southern politicians. The programs were designed to exclude farm workers, domestic workers, jobs held overwhelmingly by Black, Latino, and Indigenous people. So right from the start, Black and brown families were pushed out of benefits so that white people could get them. Then we move forward to the 1960s, and there's this war on poverty. It finally opened up welfare programs more broadly, and that's when food stamps became permanent. Well, permanent, we don't know what Trump's going to do to them, but they lasted a long time. And guess what? The minute more Black and brown families started accessing this help, the politics shifted. Welfare got a new image and a new target. By the 1980s and 90s, with Ronald Reagan and his gang, they pushed the welfare queen myth. That's a racist dog whistle meant to turn public opinion against safety nets by blaming Black women for poverty that white policies created. That's the truth, you guys. So yes, welfare was built for white people, and when others finally got in the door, they tried to burn the house down. If you want to blame the right people, you got to get killed.
So, after analyzing their thoughts and analyzing their speech, here's my deep critical analysis, as I promised you. See, Black suffering in the United States has always been tied to systems that value white comfort over Black pain. The suffering began when the first African American was sold on the American soil, and it has adapted through every era: slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, mass incarceration, and even the microaggression of modern workplaces. For Black Americans, pain has never been an isolated incident. It is the background noise of daily life. To be Black in America often means carrying the memory of a whip even when no one is striking it. You see, in moments like this we have seen in this video, when a white person says something cruel or thoughtless and instantly regrets it, the nation witnesses a small version of a larger truth: the gap between intent and impact. The white woman and the white other people may not have meant harm, but their words came from a place built by centuries of racial hierarchies. For the Black people who had her, it was not just an insult, it was a reminder of all the times language has been used to justify their suffering. You see, specifically that woman, her regret is genuine. Even though while it was genuine, it is also fragile, you know. It may lead to reflections, even apology, but rarely does it teach the deeper layers of the system. America is full of such regrets, moments when individuals see a flash of the truth, feel the discomfort, and then move on, while Black people continue to live with the consequences. Confessions without transformation changes nothing. It soothes the guilty but leaves the wounded bleeding. The reality is this, and it is that white confessions has become a ritual in modern America. A racist makes remarks may go viral, and outrage follows, and the offender issues an apology. The media moves on, but Black communities are left asking, what next? Where is the justice? Where is the change? The cycle of harm and regret continues because the nation treats racism as a personal flaw rather than a structure of power. So this is racist. Racism roots from systemic racism. Systemic racism gives room for individual racism. You see, Black suffering cannot be healed by words alone. It requires dismantling the system that produces inequality, education, policing, housing, healthcare, and the economy. It demands listening to Black voices, not as victims to be pitied, but as teachers of truth. And it calls for white people to move beyond regret into responsibility, to repair, to share, and to act. Right? So, according to the Canadian proverb that I shared with you in the beginning of the video, a handful of patience is more valuable than a brochure of brains. See, it rings true now that Black people have carried the patience for centuries, waiting for justice that still feels distant. Meanwhile, America prides itself on intellect and innovation, but struggles with compassion, right? Until the nation learns that patience is not passive but powerful, until it learns to sit in the discomfort of its own history, confession will remain hollow. You know, the white woman's regret in this video may fade, but the lesson should not. Her instant realization of guilt mirrors a country slowly walking or waking to its own conscience. Yet awakening means little if it leads only to shame and not to action, right? So America's redemption, if it ever comes, it will not arrive through apologies, but through transformation. When the words spoken by white mouths no longer wound, and when Black suffering is no longer the quiet prize of white awakening. Yes. And I just want to make one thing right. Apology is very good. Apology is a path towards restoration. Apology is a path towards repentance and reconciliation. Because there is a very, very big and a massive divide between the American community of Blacks and the American community of whites, right? So apology is just but the first piece. And a piece is not greater than the whole. So there is a long journey to go to rectify this thing. This is an individual apologizing. I think the system itself should apologize because the system itself gives the individual permission to act racist. Yes, that is my thought. I would really love to hear what you have to say. If you have anything to say on the comment section, let's continue this discussion. Let's continue sharing our thoughts together as we learn. This is EFK Original Documentaries. See you in the next one.